Welcome to Karma's Harvest. Today, we share a story about a man who fought for his country's freedom, only to find his own liberty under attack by the very neighbors he protected. This is the story of a veteran, a flag, and a corrupt board that learned the hard way that you reap exactly what you sow. Arthur Miller was a man of quiet discipline. A retired Marine Master Sergeant, his back was as straight as a steel beam, and his word was his bond. When he moved into the Whispering Pines community, he wasn't looking for trouble. He just wanted a garden for his wife, Martha, and a tall, sturdy pole to fly the Stars and Stripes, the same flag he had carried through 3 deployments. For 5 years, the flag fluttered peacefully. But peace in Whispering Pines was a fragile thing, especially since Regina Thorne took over as the HOA president. Regina was the kind of woman who measured the height of your grass with a ruler and found joy in the misery of others. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. It wasn't an invitation or a neighborly greeting. It was a notice of violation. The HOA claimed Arthur's flagpole was an unauthorized permanent structure and demanded it be removed within 48 hours. The fine? $500 for every day it remained. Arthur didn't panic. He simply walked to Regina's office with a copy of the Freedom to Display the American Flag Act of 2005. He spoke with the calm authority of a man who had stared down real threats. "Ma'am," Arthur said, placing the paper on her mahogany desk, "federal law protects my right to fly this flag. I suggest you read it." Regina didn't even look at the paper. She looked at Arthur with a cold, condescending smile. "Mr. Miller, federal law doesn't pay for the landscaping in this neighborhood. Our bylaws do. You're out of compliance. Pay the fine or we'll place a lien on your home." Arthur left without another word. He knew a frontal assault wasn't the way to win this war. He needed intelligence. Over the next month, the fines piled up. 5,000, 10,000. Regina thought she was breaking him. She even sent a crew to try and dismantle the pole. But they left quickly when they found Arthur sitting on his porch, cleaning his old boots, looking them dead in the eye. While the neighborhood thought Arthur was just being stubborn, he was actually busy. He started talking to the older residents, the ones Regina had bullied into silence. He discovered that despite the high monthly dues and the constant fines, the community pool had been closed for repairs for 2 years. The private park was overgrown. The security fund they all paid into resulted in nothing more than a broken gate. Arthur reached out to his nephew, a forensic accountant. Together, they made a formal request to view the HOA's financial records, a right guaranteed by state law, though one Regina had buried deep in the fine print. Regina stalled. She claimed records were lost in a server migration. She claimed the treasurer was on an extended vacation. But Arthur was patient. He filed a petition with the state's attorney general. When the court order finally arrived, Regina's confident mask began to crack. Arthur and his nephew spent 3 nights in a rented office, poring over years of bank statements and ledger entries. What they found was a masterpiece of greed. The Community Improvement Fund was being drained monthly into a shell company, registered to Regina's sister. Over $600,000 had been laundered through fake construction, bids, and consulting fees. The HOA board wasn't just strict, they were a criminal enterprise. The following Saturday, the HOA held its annual Harmony meeting. Regina stood at the podium ready to announce a new set of restrictive rules. "Before we begin," Regina said, "I'd like to remind Mr. Miller that his outstanding debt to this community now exceeds $15,000. We will be initiating foreclosure proceedings on Monday." The room went silent. Arthur stood up. He didn't have a lawyer. He just had a folder. "Regina," Arthur began, his voice echoing in the hall, "I spent my life defending the laws of this land. It turns out you've spent yours breaking them." He walked to the front and handed a packet to every resident in the front row. He projected a single spreadsheet onto the wall behind Regina. "That $30,000 roof repair for the clubhouse?" Arthur asked. "The contractor doesn't exist. The money went to a boutique in Paris where you spent 2 weeks last summer. The emergency security fee? It paid for your husband's new Mercedes. The room erupted. Regina tried to call for order, her face turning a sickly shade of gray. But it was too late. Arthur had already called the police. The doors at the back of the hall opened. 2 detectives and a representative from the district attorney's office walked in. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Regina Thorne and the entire board were escorted out in handcuffs as the neighbors watched in stunned silence. The lien on Arthur's house was declared fraudulent. The fines were wiped away. A month later, a new interim board was formed. They didn't care about the height of the grass as much as they cared about the integrity of the community. On a bright, windy morning, Arthur stood in his front yard. A group of neighbors gathered not to complain, but to help. They presented him with a new, even larger flag, one that had flown over the state capitol. As Arthur hoisted the flag, the metal clips clinking against the pole sounded like a victory march. Regina was facing 10 years in prison for embezzlement and fraud. The board was gone. The money was being recovered. Arthur Miller stood at attention and saluted. He had fought many battles in his life, but this one felt special. It was a reminder that no matter how much power someone thinks they have, they can never truly hide from the harvest of their own actions. In Whispering Pines, justice finally had its day, and the flag, it never flew higher.